Congresswoman, I want to start with you. The American Rescue Plan passed in March. The decision to give $1,000 in appreciation pay only decided by the town council last month. From your perch as a legislator, what is the impact of the decision on a community that you represent?
Well, I can't tell you how proud I am of Oxnard, their leadership and fortitude to do this, and I hope other cities will follow it. I think, one of our the biggest priorities in doing this rescue plan is to give cities and local communities the flexibility and as many options as possible, because what's good for one city might not be good for another. But what Oxnard has done for these grocery workers in their community is just the type of thing that I think Congress wanted local communities to do.
Rachel, I want to understand what you think the impact is here. Also help us understand how this is going to work. Have essential workers received this pay yet, or is it going to come this summer?
Yes. So the money is going to come this summer. It's going to be distributed by the city of Oxnard. This is going to make a massive impact. Grocery, drug retail workers, they have suffered through some of the heaviest impacts of COVID-19. They had hazard pay at the beginning of the pandemic, and then it was pulled away about 6 weeks later. And throughout the year, we've seen high infection rates, and a lot of grocery and drug retail workers are the sole wage earners for their families. And so every day they came in when many of us got to work from home and struggled to stay well, to deal with folks who were unmasked, to deal with lack of on-site testing. And so this is a very important way to show the courage and the bravery and the strength that they have endured throughout the year.
Here's what one CVS worker, Debbie, who made public comments at the hearing held by the city council, said in reaction to the appreciation pay. As a CVS worker for over 40 years, I've been proud to serve Oxnard families every day, but nothing prepared me for working on the front lines of this pandemic. I asked Oxnard City Council leaders to recognize the incredible health risks essential workers like me have faced. This COVID premium pay isn't just about helping Oxnard essential workers provide for their family. It also sends a clear message that our community values us and the work we do every day to keep our customers safe. Congresswoman, every Republican in Congress voted against the relief bill, though it did not stop many of them for taking credit for some of its successes. How do Democrats make the connection for voters between the relief funds and the economic recovery, and which party helped and which party didn't?
Well, as you said, for the rescue plan, the Republicans didn't support the plan, although it was, I believe, a bipartisan plan. Perhaps the Republicans in Washington, D.C. and Congress didn't vote for it, but this is a highly popular plan across the country. And I think what Oxnard is doing is exactly what our intention was to do. It's not every city, it's not one size fits all. Every city has their different priorities. And so again, Oxnard is a unique city in that it's coastal, but still a working class city. And so not only are the grocery store workers and the larger supermarkets will benefit from this, but there are many mom and pop grocery stores in Oxnard too that will also benefit.
Rachel, this is, of course, a retroactive acknowledgement of the way in which these workers sacrificed, put their lives, their families' lives on the line in order to serve the public during this pandemic. What are the forward-looking questions we need to be asking about the type of compensation and benefits that these workers deserve?
Absolutely. Many of these workers are low-wage workers, barely making above minimum wage. And throughout COVID-19, we realized that we had to both raise the standard on health and safety, we had to raise the wages for grocery and drug retail workers, and we had to prepare for the fact that if and when this happens in the future, how are we going to be on the front of it? How are we going to create the health and safety measures to protect workers? How are we going to raise standards? How are we going to create affordable family health care for all workers? And how are we going to provide just childcare? These were workers who didn't get to stay home. And so single moms who had to endure the hardest parts of the pandemic, simultaneously maintaining their families, simultaneously making sure that their kids were getting the education through this process. So we learned a lot, and I think, you know, we can take that with us on this next phase.
You know, Congresswoman, to that point about childcare and how this has brought childcare into focus, you were on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. When you have people who say we don't need the rest of the Biden agenda, we did it, we've got enough, the economy's recovering, what is your response?
My response is we need a lot to recover, and childcare is one of those things that is extraordinarily important. You know, kids are going to be going back to school. We need childcare. We need people back in their jobs. I would like to say with a good paying jobs, but they need childcare. And women, particularly women, have been extraordinarily impacted by this pandemic, because it's women who are taking care of people and in senior citizen areas and hospitals and the like. It's the women who had to leave to come home and take care of their children. Having women back in the workforce, making a good salary, having childcare to support that is going to mean a good, healthy recovery.